Hi, Stage 2. In Geography today, you are going to be exploring how different places around Australia have very different climates. So you're going to do a bit of a study on Darwin and Threadbow. You can click on these links here and here, and it will take you to 2 pages with some photos and a little bit of information about Darwin and Threadbow. So I'm going to click on the first one. I've actually already opened it up. And here you can see that there's a few sentences about Darwin. It says Darwin is the capital of the Northern Territory. With just 150,000 people, it is the smallest and most northerly of the Australian capital cities. Nearby attractions include the wonderful Kakadu National Park. So the first picture is a picture of Darwin viewed from the west. If you scroll down, you can see the climate for Darwin. So this climate graph tells us about the temperature and the rainfall in Darwin. So on the left side, you can see there's the average maximum temperature, that's the hottest it gets, the average minimum temperature, that's the coldest it gets, and the average monthly rainfall, how many millimetres of rain they get each month. Across the top in the yellow boxes, they are the months. We've got January, February, March, April, May, and so on. So you can see that in January, the average maximum temperature was 32 degrees and the average minimum temperature was 25 degrees. At the end over here, it says annual. That means for the whole year. The average temperature maximum for the whole year was 32 degrees and the average minimum for the year was 23 degrees, which is very hot. So Darwin is a very hot place. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see an aerial photograph of Darwin. So it's taken from a plane and some of the houses in Darwin. You might notice here that the house is quite high up. Darwin actually has quite cool houses that are built so that the wind can go underneath to keep the houses nice and cool since it's so hot. On the final page, there are some activities in Darwin. So people often go four-wheel driving, walk along the beach, go fishing, and ride their bikes. Once you've had a good look at the information about Darwin, it's then time to read about Threadbow. So you can click on the link here to open up the information. I already have mine open. So it says Threadbow, New South Wales. Threadbow is a small resort village in New South Wales' Kosciuszko National Park. It is a popular place for mountain biking and walking in summer and skiing and snowboarding in winter. Threadbow is located 1,380 metres above sea level in the mountains. Threadbow viewed from above looking towards the west. There's a picture of what Threadbow looks like. You can see the climate data for Threadbow. Again, the months are across the top, but this time you can see that the temperatures are much colder. Have a look at July. -4 was the average minimum temperature. Over here for the year in annual, it says that the average maximum temperature was 14 degrees and the average minimum temperature was only 2 degrees, but you can see that it got really cold. So it's quite different to Darwin. If you scroll down, you can see a picture of Threadbow from above in summer. So it doesn't snow all year round. It does have a beautiful summer as well. It is in New South Wales. And then you keep scrolling, you can see some of the houses in Threadbow. Have a think about how these houses are specifically built to keep people warm when there's snow all around. Down the bottom, here's some activities that people do at Threadbow. So on the left here, you can see that there's skiing and snowboarding. Those are done in winter. And on the right, you can see there's the mountain bike riding and the walking when there's no snow around. Then it's time to go back to your slides. There are 3 questions for you to answer. The first one is describe the type of weather experienced in Darwin and Threadbow. How are they different? Have a look at the climate graphs, have a look at the pictures, and explain how's the weather different in Darwin compared to Threadbow. Question 2 asks you to explain how the type of housing gives us clues about the weather in that place. I already said that in Darwin, the houses are often up high, so the wind can go underneath and keep the house nice and cool. And in Threadbow, the houses look pretty closed in. The final question asks you to describe some of the activities people do in these areas. How are these activities influenced by the climate? So, the first step is to have a look at the activities that people do in Darwin compared to the activities that people do in Threadbow. You might like to start by listing them and just naming a few of the activities to show that you've read the information, looked at the pictures. After that, it says, how are these activities influenced by climate? Why do you think people do these kinds of activities like fishing, four-wheel driving, bike riding, and walking on the beach in Darwin and not in Threadbow? And why do you think people go skiing in Threadbow and not in Darwin? Think about the climate. Have a look at the climate charts with the average temperatures for the year and write your response. The second slide asks you to drag the place names to the correct location on the map. Where is Darwin and Threadbow? It did explain it in the two handouts. However, if you're not sure, you could always Google it. Then just click on the Darwin and drag it to where you think it belongs on the Australian map, and the same for Threadbow.